All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another semester of Real Graps. I am Joe Gierer, your host, and I've been gone again for another month and a half, almost 2 months at this point. The last show I did, if I'm not mistaken, it was either very late November or very early December, and I think it was very late November. So I think that was the show post Survivor Series, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the last show we did in this series was Survivor Series. So I've been gone for a very long time. That was December 2nd. Thankfully we're back. It's now January 28th. So a lot of time has passed. And what I've learned from doing a show like this, for the first time in this past year, and it's been almost a year, I think, since the very beginning of this show, which was February 4th, right after the Royal Rumble last year, which, if you ask the internet, was the time that everything started to go downhill. But we're back. And what I've learned from doing this show for almost a full year now is that within the breaks, wrestling moves very fast and a lot of stuff happens. And I think I said this last semester when I came back from the summer hiatus to cover the latter half of the year into Survivor Series. And now we're going to be back on the road to WrestleMania officially by next week because the Royal Rumble is this weekend. But a lot of stuff happened over that summertime period from when I left to when I came back. And this, an even shorter break, there was still a lot that happened from the time I left to the time I came back. Like I said, last show was December 2nd. Now it's January 28th, so about a month and a half, almost 2 months. And even if you just look at the perspective of well, first and foremost, John Cena, the GOAT, greatest of all time, retired. I was at that match, very dumbfounded by the ending, but I think I've come to accept that the tap was the right thing based on what's followed it. But I was there. That's happened. John Cena is no longer wrestling ever again in the WWE, which is very upsetting. And now apparently we're upon another retirement, potentially, which we'll get to very soon. But John Cena's gone. And if we just look at the state of the champions in the company, we have a new WWE champion, Drew McIntyre. Who would have thought? I think we talked about this last semester. It was never going to happen. It seemed like it was never going to happen. And somehow we now live in a world coming back where Drew McIntyre is the WWE champion. Never thought it would happen, but here we are. CM Punk is still the world heavyweight champion, had a couple of defenses that were good. His latest being Finn Balor. And Finn Balor, as we'll get into, is not done with CM Punk and the World Heavyweight Championship. Again, when did the creative team start listening to the internet booking? Drew McIntyre, WWE champion. Finn Balor in a world title program now. And if you want to take it a step further, we have new World Tag Team Champions in the Usos. Now carry the tag championships on Raw. As we'll get into, we have new WWE Tag Team Champions on SmackDown. And the United States champion on SmackDown now is Carmelo Hayes, another guy that the internet has been clamoring for to get pushed and finally win something. And now he's the United States champion. So in a span of a month and a half, we have Drew McIntyre as a world champion. We have Carmelo Hayes as United States champion, and we have Finn Balor in a world title program going into WrestleMania season. I don't know what switch flipped in the creative room, but I mean, all seems well. And they have been off to a very exciting start to the new year. And Javon Evans, now on Monday Night Raw, no longer on NXT. Trig Williams got called up from NXT to Friday Night SmackDown. Obafemi has gotten video packages. He, in the span that I was gone, won back the NXT championship, defended it against Javon Evans, defended it against Leon Slater, and then vacated it, and now is getting video packages. And as of yesterday, is set to make his main roster debut in the Royal Rumble this Saturday. Jordan Grace is also on SmackDown, and from what it looks like, is going to get a world title match at some point against Jade Cargill, which I have some complaints to make about that title reign, which everybody does, but I have some complaints to make soon into this show. But I mean, the point is, a lot of stuff has happened, and this business moves very fast if you take even a month off from it. Because if I came back after a month, like I said, this is a month and a half. If I came back after just 1 month, we still had a new United States champion. We still had a new World Tag Team champions. We still had a new WWE champion. Like, it's all happened so fast. And I'm of the belief that WWE is on the right track to start 2026, because many people thought 2025 was a down year for the company. I personally thought it was fine. I think I made that clear through my show. I covered the entire year. I was fine with what they were doing. I had a lot of stuff I liked. I had some stuff I didn't like. But 2026 is off to a great start. I didn't even mention Matt Cardona is back, not Zack Ryder. Matt Cardona is back in WWE full-time as Matt Cardona on SmackDown, and he's feuding with Kit Wilson as a single star, who now has the most viral entrance theme in the WWE and is incredibly over with the fan base. Where did that come from? I have no idea. This kind of stuff happens when I seem to sit back and not cover. And the stuff that I have covered seems to be the part where a lot of people have complaints. So maybe it's in the best interest of the company and fan enjoyment that I just cover this episode and scrap the show entirely, because it seems everything happens when I'm gone. And all the stuff that's considered negative happens when I'm back. But I digress. Anyways, that was enough yap to start the episode. Now it's time to dive in to what's going on in WWE this past week, what's going on at the current day, and what's to come this weekend as we officially kick off the road to WrestleMania with the Royal Rumble. And I'd be remiss not to start with last Saturday night's main event. Arguably, in my opinion, the best Saturday night's main event that's been put on since they brought it back in late 2024. It's a show that never felt as significant as it did this past weekend, and the match quality was night and day from previous ones, in my opinion. So we started off with Jacob Fatu, who I also didn't mention is now back and is the reason, arguably, that Drew McIntyre is the WWE champion. That seems to be the storyline they're rolling with. And Jacob Fatu is now feuding with Cody Rhodes because of that. And they had a phenomenal interview segment, where Jacob interrupted an interview that Michael Cole was doing with Cody Rhodes. They had an awesome segment going into that match on Friday. Jacob Fatu crashed the interview. He went back and forth with Cody, said that he came for Drew because Drew was the one that knocked his teeth down his throat. Drew keeps saying that it was not him. He's constantly saying it was not him and that Jacob needs to get it through his head. We talked about this on the show when it happened last semester. It never felt like it was going to be Drew. That's lazy booking. It was rumored to be Randy Orton. It was rumored to be Cody Rhodes, who Jacob is now feuding with. I guess we'll find out in due time, but I don't think that it was Drew McIntyre. That's what he says, but that seems to be what Jacob believes, and that's why he says he came back. But he went after Cody put his hands on him. Cody said that instinct, that acting without thinking, was the reason he got locked up in prison. A little bit of a low blow by what is supposed to be your top babyface in Cody Rhodes. Jacob threw some shots, said Drew was escaping the cage before I stepped in front of him. Cody shot at him for not ever having a title match. And Jacob said that he was very in control. And it was just a very good back and forth, a very good segment going into the match. And the match itself didn't happen. There was no Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu match at Saturday night's main event. Instead, it never started, and it just came into this all-out brawl that they did throughout the arena. The brawl started in the ring. It spilled out to ringside. It then spilled out into the audience. It went up into the concessions. It came back down into the audience. They were brawling through the entire arena. And out of nowhere, Drew McIntyre pulled up on him, threw Jacob through a table, hit a low blow on Cody Rhodes, and powerbombed Cody through a table that was out in the audience somewhere. So Drew McIntyre is still attacking Jacob Fatu, even though he says he had nothing to do with the incident that injured Jacob Fatu a month and a half ago. And he's still going after Cody Rhodes. There was a little troll he put on Friday night where he had like a signed poster in the window of the tour bus that said the Real American Dream. He's still targeting Cody Rhodes and taking victory laps for winning the championship, even though he said in the contract there was no rematch clause for Cody Rhodes and that he had to fight his way back up. But that has not stopped Drew McIntyre from just continuously still making his life complete hell. But it was perfect. It was the perfect tone setter for the show. They got that crowd going. They got me going. I was really enjoying it. And it was just, it just knew, you kind of knew after that what kind of night it was going to be for the WWE. And it turned out, as I said, to be a very great night. And Drew said backstage afterwards that he just wanted to send a message to everybody in the locker room that if you come for this title and mess with him, that's what's going to happen. I'm always a fan of a heel champion, especially on world championships when they're actually doing stuff with the belt. Drew McIntyre is an upcoming defense. We'll get there. But he's been active with the belt. And in my opinion, a heel champion as a world champion is the best. And I'm a very big enjoyer of babyface, mid-card champions like the United States Championship right now, where it's bounced from Sami Zayn to Ilya Dragunov to Carmelo Hayes now. And they're doing an open challenge and they're just defending it constantly. I think that is exactly what a mid-card championship should be. And what Drew's doing with the world championship right now is exactly what a heel champion should be doing in WWE. And that's not a knock on like CM Punk. CM Punk as the, world heavyweight champion, it was off to a slow start. He won it a couple of months back. I don't want to go on a tangent, but he didn't defend it necessarily until January, but it's picked up ever since. And now he's doing great work with the World Heavyweight Championship and keeping it active as it's supposed to be. But nonetheless, we move on. There was an amazing women's tag team match at Saturday night's main event. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are now the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. They defeated the Kabuki Warriors a couple of weeks ago and had their first championship defense on Saturday night's main event against Roxanne Perez and Liv Morgan of the Judgment Day, who won a number one contenders match to get that opportunity. And in the match, Raquel Rodriguez got involved. She's still involved with Stephanie Vauquer and has a match against her next week. She tripped up Rhea into the referee to stop the count that would have ended the match. She saved Roxanne Perez, was attacking, and Stephanie Vauquer came out, ran her off, saved Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. And off that saving, Rio were able to retain in a hard-fought, amazing tag team match. That match was phenomenal. And for those six women, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez, Raquel Rodriguez, and Stephanie Vauquer, it has been an amazing week. It has been an amazing week for them. There was also a rivalry renewed just for that night. It was made on SmackDown the night before. Nick Aldis called AJ Styles in because AJ Styles has put his career on the line this weekend against Gunther, who's now known as the career killer. Predictions for that matchup coming a bit later. But Nick Aldis questioned his judgment. AJ Styles stood on his business, and he brought in Shinsuke Nakamura, who wanted to go one-on-one with him one final time, and that match was banging. That match was great. AJ Styles defeated Shinsuke Nakamura. It was seemingly their last match against one another, and I'd go leaps and bounds to put money on it that was their last match they're ever going to face each other in. It was a nice calculated attack. AJ targeted the left leg, attempted many calf crushers, beat up on that leg of Shinsuke often, and eventually was able to sit him down with a phenomenal forearm on Styles Clash combo to put a stamp on it. They showed nice respect afterwards, fist bump, hug. It was a nice callback to a match they had in New Japan, I believe, 10 years ago that I haven't seen, but I'm sure was great. And it was just really nice. John Cena did that all of last year with his farewell tour. And AJ Styles is arguably on that same echelon of John Cena in terms of greatest wrestlers of all time. Certainly a better ring performer than John Cena ever was. But AJ Styles deserves these types of moments too. And the one he had with Shinsuke on Saturday was both very enjoyable and very beautiful for longtime wrestling fans. So nice little addition to the card the night before that they made. And the night ended with some good old Montreal. It was in Montreal. It ended with some good old Montreal plot armor, which we all knew was going to happen, but I'm fine with. There was a fatal four-way to determine the number one contender for the WWE Championship. That was between Sami Zayn, the Montreal boy, Randy Orton, Trick Williams, and Damian Priest. And the match itself was very good. It was booked very well. All men performed exquisitely, in my opinion. But as I said, Montreal plot armor. It always comes through. Sami Zayn came out on top. It was a fantastic fatal four-way match, but Sami Zayn found a way to get it done. Sami Zayn caught Priest with a haluva kick unexpectedly in the corner after Priest sat down Trick Williams and pinned him before Randy could get back in the ring. Randy Orton could get back in the ring and break up the pin. So Sami Zayn wins number one contendership to the WWE Championship, and he will be the opponent for Drew McIntyre's first title defense this weekend at the Royal Rumble, which is in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, Montreal to Saudi Arabia. It didn't line up any better for Sami Zayn to win that match and get a title match in Saudi Arabia. Sami Zayn, for a long time, was the favorite going into this year's Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia for that reason, that he has that heritage and he's loved over there. But now he's competing in a WWE Championship match in Saudi Arabia against Drew McIntyre. And for that reason, I think Sami Zayn winning the match was probably the right call. It was probably the right call. Sami Zayn, I have nothing against the guy. He is a phenomenal wrestler. He's a great in-ring performer. The issue is the gimmick, and that's always been the issue with people, is that Sami Zayn has the rah-rah underdog gimmick, but he's the underdog that never loses. He always wins, but he's always the underdog. And that's the only gripe I have with Sami Zayn's booking, because Sami Zayn himself as a performer is great. He's phenomenal. But the gimmick, it's the gimmick. And again, he's going into this title match as the underdog. He's never beaten Drew McIntyre one-on-one, and he's never held a world championship. That's his whole thing, is that he wants to win the world championship. Now he has his chance. Will he do it? I'll give you my prediction towards the end of the episode. But nonetheless, one point I wanted to bring up about this matchup. Trick Williams looked great and was booked great in that match. I love what they're doing with Trick Williams. Trick Williams came up on the first episode of SmackDown of the new year to confront Sami Zayn and look like $1 million. The following week, he had his first match and picked up a win over Rey Fenix and came face-to-face with Randy Orton and promoted against him and looked like $1 million. He had interactions with Damian Priest and looked like $1 million. He beat Matt Cardona and looked like $1 million. Everything they're doing with Trick Williams, they already had him main eventing a special show, a PLE, a Saturday night's main event against Sami Zayn, Randy Orton, and Damian Priest, two guys who had world championships, and Sami Zayn, who's competed for world championships and main evented WrestleMania. That is a huge show of confidence in Trick Williams, and it should be, because Trick Williams has built himself up so well on NXT, and to see him put in these spots already shows the type of confidence that the WWE has in Trick Williams going forward. And I believe Trick Williams is going to be a top 4 biggest name in the company a couple of years down the line. He's for sure a future world champion. The crowds already love him, and that's sometimes not the case with NXT talent, but they're all doing whoop that trick, that chant. Everyone loves him, and that's not usual for NXT talent coming up, because a lot of main roster fans don't watch NXT, but they know Trick Williams and they like Trick Williams. And I was a very, very happy camper watching the way Trick Williams was booked in that match. He tried to steal it, casual heel stuff, exactly what he should have been. And I just commend both his performance and the creative team for booking him in that manner, because I think what they're doing with Trick Williams, as I mentioned, is perfect for him to start his run on the main roster and already get him mixing it up with top guys like he himself is inevitably going to be in the future. That wraps it up for Saturday night's main event. I'd give it a 10 out of 10 for the show. I really enjoyed every single match. I enjoyed the brawl with Cody and Jacob, and I think it worked well to advance some ongoing storylines that are going to continue now into the road to WrestleMania. So I think they did a phenomenal job. I think they knocked it out of the park with this show. Circling back to SmackDown, I just want to cover some stuff that had nothing to do with Saturday night's main event itself. As I have here, there was a Fatal 4-Way Summit opener that has to do with the 4 guys that just faced off in that main event, so we're not going to talk about it. There was a U.S. title rematch. Carmelo Hayes has been as active as can be with that U.S. championship, as was Ilya, as was Sami Zayn. He ran into Ilya backstage and determined that they'll face in their rematch for the championship. And there was also a run-in with The Miz where Carmelo Hayes told him that Ilya gave him more opportunity than The Miz ever has. And that one sat wrong with The Miz. So it came time for the match. And Miz dumped Ilya off the top rope. By the way, phenomenal match. I don't think I had to say that. Everybody knows that when those two get in the ring with anybody, let alone each other, Melo and Ilya, they're going to bang with that match. And they did. The Miz ended up interfering, dumping Ilya off the top rope, helped Melo retain the championship. And a point I want to make. What a match, number one, but what a sell on the first 48 by Ilya Dragunov. He flipped forwards. Off of the first 48. That's not even Melo's finisher, but the way he sold it, you just knew the match was over. You knew that was it. That sell was phenomenal. It's the first time I've ever seen somebody sell in that manner. It's probably one of the best sells I've ever seen of any move ever. And kudos to Ilya Dragunov. That guy puts himself through hell for our entertainment. As he says, pain shall entertain you. That is exactly what he lives by every single time he goes out in the ring. So that was unbelievable. And he pulled off a freaking deadlift superplex off of the apron. He was on the top rope. He deadlifted Melo up over into a superplex. I don't know how that guy does it. I love Ilya Dragunov. And I would watch him wrestle 5 matches a day, 7 days a week if I could, because that guy is unbelievable. As is Melo. Melo had some phenomenal defenses in this reign. Johnny Gargano, great match. Leon Slater, early candidate for match of the year, some say. Love Leon Slater. But just this is the best string of U.S. title reigns ever. Sami Zayn to Ilya Dragunov to now Carmelo Hayes, all doing open challenges, constant defenses. Match quality is top tier. These matches have been amazing from all 3 guys. And it's week in and week out. There's no duds. This has definitely been, without a doubt, I think it's objective to say, best string of title reigns in the company right now. Best string of title reigns for the U.S. title ever. And I wouldn't even doubt it's the best string of title reigns of any title ever. Like, they're just so good. They're so good. It was announced on Friday that Roman Reigns, the tribal chief who has not been seen since War Games, declares for the Royal Rumble and will return next week at the event. Not next week now, but this Saturday at the event. Roman Reigns will be there. He'll be in it. He is the favorite to win. We'll get to whether or not I think he'll win a bit down the line. But guys, like freaking Roman Reigns, Obafemi will say, why are we announcing them? What is the point of announcing these dudes for the Royal Rumble? What, to draw up some interest? It's the Royal Rumble. You're the WWE. It's your flagship event other than WrestleMania and SummerSlam. Like, it's going to draw. You don't have to announce these guys. Obafemi would have been a great surprise. Even though we expected it, he'd have been a great surprise. Roman Reigns, even though he was expected for it, would have been a great surprise. The Royal Rumble is, like, as I said, is built on surprises. There was a report months ago that there was going to be no surprises, which that was ludicrous, but that seems to not be the case. There will be some surprises, it seems. But can we just stop making these big declarations for the Royal Rumble and keep it a surprise for the fans? Because I think that adds a whole new level of excitement rather than, oh, I know Roman Reigns is going to be there, so now I'll watch. They're going to watch anyway. You're the WWE. It's the Royal Rumble. It's more fun to say, I hope Roman Reigns is at the Royal Rumble. I think Roman Reigns will be at the Royal Rumble. And then seeing him pop up, or just not even thinking about it at all. Roman Reigns won't be at the Royal Rumble. And then Roman Reigns' music hits in the Royal Rumble. And you're like, oh my goodness, Roman Reigns is at the Royal Rumble. That's the fun in it. So I think in the future, if I was booking, I wouldn't announce it. I would leave it all as a surprise because I think that makes it that much more fun. But I digress. As I alluded to before, Jade Cargill's title reign. My headline in my notes, just defend the belt, please. Jade Cargill beat Tiffany Stratton for the championship on November 1st at Saturday night's main event. Tiffany Stratton has not been seen since. Jade Cargill has been on TV weekly, has barely wrestled, and has not defended the championship on television. That is 2+ months of a reign with no title defense. And you can argue it's because of the challengers being slim. All of the potential challengers have pretty much been in the women's tag team division, which has been thriving recently. But Jade had a match with Chelsea Green, dominated her other than a few points where Jordynne Grace, who was ringside, was distracting her. And Jordan then declared for the Royal Rumble and made it clear that she's targeting Jade Cargill's championship. Now, Jade Cargill needs to have a defense. It can be one she wins. It can be one that she's going to win, and you know it. I don't think Jordynne Grace would beat her for the championship at this point. But you can run the match. You can have it be a good match, a nice little defense, a nice notch under her belt. She has none so far. And I don't think it's necessarily all on her. I think it's on the creative team for not giving her anything to work with. That is one of the lowest points of SmackDown to start the year. Actually, it's one of the higher points of SmackDown to start the year in the fact that Jordynne Grace is actually presenting herself as a challenger for the championship because nobody did it from November 1st to January 1st. Nobody did it. It's almost now been 3 months since Jade Cargill won the championship and has not defended. So I'm grateful that somebody is stepping up and presenting themselves as a challenger for the championship. Will they run that match in the near future? I don't know. There have been speculation about Bianca Belair returning at the Rumble, winning and challenging Jade at WrestleMania. That could be the case. Either way, Jade needs to defend the belt. She has to defend the belt. They need a booker in a championship defense, not these little one-off matches that she's dominating. I understand they want to make her look strong. You can make her look strong in championship defenses as the world champion. Tiffany Stratton was active. I don't remember exactly how many times that she defended the belt, but she was there weekly, always feuding with challengers for the belt and had herself a nice amount of defenses. So can we please get Jade Cargill on that track a little bit, Triple H? Please. I don't remember who the lead writer for SmackDown is. It might be Road Dogg. Can we please get Jade Cargill on that path? Because you can't have a world champion that's just not defending. I mean, Roman Reigns wasn't there as world champion, but when he came back, he was defending the belt. Jade Cargill is there weekly, and it feels like she's never going to defend the belt. And it feels like Roman Reigns is more likely to defend the belt when he's not there than Jade Cargill is when she is there. So, I mean, let's just get it on the right track. I alluded to this before, but new tag champs on SmackDown as well as Raw. There was a match this past Friday. MFTs, being Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga, challenged the Wyatt Six, Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis, for the WWE Tag Team Championships. And there's been an ongoing feud between the two that has started from the point I was still here and continues into now, but now it's over the lantern. MFT, Solo Sikoa, they stole the lantern. That has been the fighting point of this feud, and that's what was used to ultimately change the championship. Solo Sikoa used it. hit Loomis in the face when the ref was distracted. Tama Tonga finished the job with his little new hidden blade type finisher, and they became new champs. So now MFT, Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga are the WWE Tag Team Champions on SmackDown. There was an incredible 1v1 match between Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano, and Nathan Frazier, which I say those two names and you already know the match is going to bang. I don't got to talk about it and tell you how great and incredible it was. But Fraxium's 1-for-1. Bit of a weird finish, but I liked it. Axiom used the mask, shielded Candice LeRae. She hit Johnny. That allowed Nathan Frazier to roll Johnny Gargano up and get himself the win. And Candice and Johnny Gargano still ran off with the mask. And speaking of Johnny Gargano, well wishes to Tommaso Ciampa. Had a nice little strong run to end his time with WWE, but they did not renew the contract. We'll be looking forward to seeing what that guy does in the future because he himself is a great talent. But Candice and Johnny retain the mask, but Nathan Frazier gets the win, and I'm sure that'll lead into an Axiom versus Johnny Gargano match, potentially for the mask. I guess we'll have to see. Drew McIntyre cut a promo. I'm not going to get very into it because he already kind of talked about what he said about Jacob, about the field, about potential winners. Did throw a shot at Sami Zayn, which Sami then smacked him for backstage at his son, which was a bit of a low blow. But yeah, Matt Cardona stepped to Kit Wilson. They're going to end up having another match in the future. There are new women's tag team #1 contenders. And this is another thing we have to talk about. Julia was booked horrendously in her first U.S. title run. This one has been so much better already compared to the last one. She's already defended the belt against Alexa Bliss. She has a successful title defense against Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss is a multi-time world champion, multiple times. She defended against like Michin, Chelsea Green again and again, B-Fab, like those types of people in her first reign. She was stuck in that vortex. That's kind of where the championship was. They've already extended it out to Alexa Bliss. And that was like a week into the reign. She's been wrestling consistently. And now, as I'm about to mention, Lash Legend hits her finish on Alexa Bliss in this #1 contenders match. She got speared by Charlotte Flair and Kiana James stole the pin. So now Kiana James and Julia, very unexpectedly, I don't know how many people actually thought this would happen, are the #1 contenders to the tag team championships that were defended on Saturday. So now Rhea and Io are going to have to defend against Kiana James and Julia. I don't know if that's that this week. I'm not sure. But thank you. Thank you for actually giving Julia some stuff. I mean, I'd like her to defend the U.S. championship, but she doesn't have to defend it every single week. Like, that's not, this is a nice little break. It gives Kiana James something, too, who's been doing some good work. And, yeah, I'm a fan. So, I mean, caught me off guard. I love what they're doing with Julia to start this year. And she said she's targeting triple champ status by winning the Rumble. Hate to break it to you, that's probably not going to happen, but I love the ambition, I love the effort, and I love the attention that we're finally giving Julia moving forward. And yeah, that's pretty much wraps up what happened on SmackDown that does not play into Saturday night's main event that we already talked about. Monday Night Raw last night was great. Another good show. AJ Styles, actually, you know what? I just caught it. I watched it yesterday, but Monday Night Raw was on Monday. I'm so used to doing this show on Tuesdays. We started on a Tuesday last year. This last semester was a Tuesday again, and now we're on a Wednesday. And I love it more because now I can watch NXT from last night as opposed to previewing NXT for that night and talking about the one that happened 7 days prior. I think this day is a lot better for the show than a Tuesday would be because then I can't cover NXT until a week after it happens. So I'm a fan of the Wednesday, but that was just a little Freudian slip from the past few semesters. But Monday Night Raw. AJ Styles opened after his win against Shinsuke, talked about putting his career on the line, did say he was going to end his WWE career if he lost. Don't know if that was a little nugget, if that means he's going to wrestle a little bit more. They have teased him facing previous rivals in other companies like Frankie Kazarian and TNA. Does this mean AJ Styles can have one more TNA run, or does this mean that he wraps up his entire wrestling career? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. If Gunther wins, I guess we'll find out then. Can AJ Styles, I don't know if anybody thinks this, but can AJ Styles do a little mini run, at least with something involving AEW so he can face like Samoa Joe one more time? I don't know. Just putting it out there. There's some good matches he can have in that company. But he said he wanted to be a world champion one more time. That prompted CM Punk, who he's never gone one-on-one with in the WWE, to come out, promo battle back and forth. He questioned his judgment. AJ took it wrong, said that he saw it as Punk saying he couldn't beat Gunther. And then he said he could beat Gunther and CM Punk. And that prompted Punk to accept a World Heavyweight Championship title defense for Monday night, CM Punk versus AJ Styles in Toronto. Nobody's complaining about that. Nobody at all is complaining about a CM Punk and AJ Styles match. So I was very happy going into that night's main event. As I mentioned before, great week for the 6 women that were involved in the tag match at Saturday night's main event. Rio and Stephanie Vaquer fought and defeated Judgment Day in a great 6-woman tag team match on Monday Night Raw. It was lovely. It was very good. Those women are so good. They're putting on some of the best matches in the company. If you argued to me that the best thing about WWE these past few years has been the women's division in general, I wouldn't disagree. I think Evolution was the best show of last year. It was so good. The women's division in WWE is so good. They're putting on bangers week in and week out. And I was a very big fan of that match. It was phenomenal. I think the right team won. The face team, you know how those matches always go. The faces always win. They always win those types of matches. So you kind of figured that the tag team champions and women's world champion were not going to lose that match. They did not. And it did set up for another thing a bit down the line. Changing gears, Finn Balor thanked CM Punk backstage for being part of the best night of his career as he competed in a world title match in Belfast, Northern Ireland. And I mean, he's probably had better nights. He's won some championships. He's had some very good matches, some very good defenses, and called that the best night of his career. And Punk then gave Finn his flowers and told him to ditch the Judgment Day, ditch that trash Dom Mysterio, which on this show we do not appreciate. Dominic has been out. He has been unable to defend himself against these allegations. I'm just joking. But we don't appreciate the Dom slander on here, CM Punk. But he told him to ditch Judgment Day, ditch Dom Mysterio, and told him to win the Rumble match and challenge him again at WrestleMania. Do not give the delusional Finn Balor fans hope that Finn Balor is going to win a world championship. This is one of those things like if pigs fly. It was kind of like Drew McIntyre winning the championship at a point, but I mean, he did it. So is it possible that Finn Balor can do it? They caught me last week, made me think that they might pull the trigger on it, but they're now giving false hope. And that carried on later into the show when Finn Balor tried to get a Rumble spot. He was denied by Pierce, who said that that spot had already been filled. The match is full. And then Liv got in Finn's ear again, said that Punk was actually just showing him up. Don't believe what he says. He doesn't want you to be the world champion. The Judgment Day does because they're your family. So just classic little manipulation by Liv Morgan of Finn Balor's mind. He said it's a little bit more complicated, went away, thought for himself. And we would see Finn again later in the night. But to circle back, Adam Pearce versus Braun Breaker. Suspended him a couple of weeks ago. Braun returned last night. Adam Pearce admits his wrongdoing to Braun, and he put the entire vision in the Royal Rumble. Braun Breaker, Logan Paul, Bronson Reed, Austin Theory. All of them in the Royal Rumble. After Paul Heyman showed up with some irrefutable evidence of corruption against Adam Pearce, putting his hands on Braun, leaving the brass knuckles for Rey Mysterio to use. Obviously stuff that proves that Adam Pearce is a corrupt manager, of course. But he then put Austin Theory against Rey Mysterio for him to get some revenge. And Austin Theory uses a big sequence of distractions outside the ring to stomp and defeat Rey Mysterio and pick himself up. His first singles win since returning and his second win overall. I just realized, too, Austin Theory being in the Vision was not discussed before we broke this show last time. It was not known. So, yes, if you're just finding out from me somehow, Austin Theory is in the Vision and has been for about a month now. So, Yeah, but there was also this thing, they threw up the X on Rey. Is it a work? Is it not? Rey Mysterio was injured, according to that, and had to be helped off to the back by medical after the match. But some recent reports I saw say that he is still fine, still expected to be in the Royal Rumble match. He did declare himself. And yeah, Rey Mysterio, there was a bit of a scare, but they say that he'll still be in the Royal Rumble match, which he declared for and was advertised for, which is always good news to have Rey Mysterio healthy, unless you're Dominic Mysterio and know him to be the deadbeat dad that he obviously is. And the Vision collectively destroyed the Luchadors without consequence. And the without consequence part could call or come from this call that Adam Pearce received. Oh my goodness. This call that Adam Pearce received last week on Raw from a higher up that nobody wants to hear from. Who could that possibly be? They said it wasn't Triple H because Triple H wouldn't want to hear from him. My mind only goes to one place, being the final boss, The Rock. But The Rock does not show up to work. So if that's the case and The Rock is not going to be involved in some sort of storyline here and is not going to show up to work, let's not take that route. Let's make it somebody else. Who could it be? I don't know. But let's not involve The Rock in stuff that he could potentially ruin again. Moving on. Natalya said that Maxine Dupree failed her. She turned heel last week on Maxine Dupree, who lost her championship to Becky Lynch a couple of weeks ago, and said she'll take her out and come for it all, meaning the Intercontinental Championship, seemingly, which Becky Lynch thought was a bit comical, said she'd have to win the Royal Rumble, but Becky Lynch herself is in the Royal Rumble, so of course she's going to win it because she is the greatest women's wrestler of all time, not just her saying it. Other people say it. Sports Illustrated says it. Bleacher Report says it. You know the whole ordeal by now with Becky Lynch, who is, again, your Intercontinental Champion. But it seems Natalya's gone. Natty Neidhart, this alternate personality, the heel side, is going to be in WWE, which is a little bit interesting. It is interesting, and I'll be paying attention to what happens moving forward with her because it's Natalya. She can do good work. Everybody knows it. Now, Stephanie and Raquel Rodriguez spilled backstage. Raquel was looking for her. Stephanie attacked her. They got into a brawl, and it was made official that Stephanie Vaquer will face Raquel Rodriguez next week in a Philadelphia street fight for the Women's World Championship. Beautiful. Love it. We will be sat for that match, 100%. Gunther interviewed with Michael Cole, said he was tired of old-timers overstaying their welcomes and chasing moments, which is why he backed AJ into a corner to put his career on the line, because he said AJ Styles is doing it just like John Cena did it, just like Bill Goldberg did it last year. And he also threw a bit of a threat at Michael Cole, like, you're an old-timer. I could easily end your career right now. There's always this ongoing beef between Michael Cole and Gunther. And I like what they're doing with Gunther. They're making him, obviously, I think they just trademarked the word, career killer. That's obviously the route they want to take with Gunther. So, yeah, I guess we shall see what happens this coming weekend in a match that will be, all pun intended, phenomenal, I'm sure. The Alpha Academy. There was a four-way for the number one contendership to the Usos Tag Team Championships. They've yet to defend. Jimmy hasn't been around these last few weeks. They say personal reasons. Not sure what that means. If it has to do with Naomi and the baby, all prayers, good luck. And if something went right, I'm happy for you. If something went wrong, I'm sorry for you. But the Alpha Academy outlasted the field of Los Americanos, New Day, and American Made to win the number one contendership to the tag team title. So the Usos' first title defense will be Otis and Akira Tozawa. And when you let Otis and Akira Tozawa go out there and perform, they usually do a good job, especially Akira Tozawa. That guy is great. He's just small. He's comedic. But when you let him wrestle, he knows how to put on a good show. And he got the finish. He got the pin. Akira Tozawa got the pin last week on Raw to win the match. So let's go Alpha Academy. I don't think they're going to defeat the Usos, but I'm glad they're getting a chance to fight for the titles. The Vision, I don't think I said this before. They plan to ensure Braun Breaker a Royal Rumble win. Logan Paul thought up this idea. They worked together so that one of them wins. They all agreed that it should be Braun Breaker. So it appears the Vision will be working together to get Braun Breaker the Royal Rumble win on Saturday. He is a possible winner. I'm not saying he's not. Braun Breaker is a possible winner of the Royal Rumble. Do I think it will be him? No, but we'll get there. I keep saying we'll get there. That's like a trademark of this show. When I have something coming at the end, I allude to it and I say, we'll get there soon. You should know that by now if you've been listening. Obafemi was announced for the Royal Rumble. I already mentioned that. And the world title match ended in a no contest between AJ Styles and CM Punk because Finn Balor attacked. Finn Balor decided that the nice guy role was not going to cut it. He doesn't have a spot in the Royal Rumble. It's time to take action. And Finn Balor attacked CM Punk to finish the show. He caused the no contest finish. CM Punk is still champion, but CM Punk left on a bit of a bad note after taking 3 coup de grace to finish the show. So Finn Balor is still targeting CM Punk and the World Heavyweight Championship. And the fact that this feud is extended past one match in Ireland makes me believe there might be a chance of Finn Balor winning a world title again in his career, potentially in the very near future, becoming World Heavyweight Champion. Is that going to happen? If I had a bet, probably not, but I'm glad he's back in these feuds and they're giving him the chances that he deserves to be in World Championship feuds as a singles competitor. Before we move on to the Royal Rumble, just want to run through last night's NXT very quickly because NXT has a big week upcoming for them. The show was supposed to start with a number 1 contenders qualifying match for the ladder match for the NXT Championship next week on NXT because Oba vacated, as I mentioned before. A few guys already qualified. Ricky Saints didn't have to qualify. Shiloh Hill, who's now new and competing constantly on NXT, qualified. And I believe Sean Legacy beat Eli Knight to qualify. That match was phenomenal. Those two are so good. I'm so happy they're both on NXT now. But it was supposed to be Joe Hendry against Evolve champion Jackson Drake of the Vanity Project, who are now on NXT as well. They attacked him, sent him to the hospital per the commentary team, and that match would not happen. A bit later in the show, they circle back to it, and Ava actually just gave in and put Jackson Drake into the match. So he got his way. He got what he wanted. He's in the NXT Championship ladder match next week. But she did make clear that Joe Hendry, if cleared to compete, will also be put in that ladder match, making it from a 6-man to a 7-man ladder match. Dark State defended against OTM and defeated them to retain the NXT Tag Team Championships. There was a big distraction by the Vanity Project outside the ring that caused the finish. Chaos ensued following between OTM, Hank and Tank, Vanity Project, and Chase U. And it seems Uriah Connors is getting a little fed up with Chase U, which they just are now getting some screen time. And they work so well together. I just want to point out, Cale Dixon is so good. He needs to be featured more. But I wouldn't break them up yet. But it seems there's a little bit of a disarray between them going on there. And the culling actually laid out Dark State from behind. So the culling, it seems, are the next title challengers for Dark State for the NXT Tag Team Championships, which I assume will happen in the next couple of weeks. Jada Parker returned to the ring against Nikita Lyons and defeated her. The match was actually a little bit better than I thought it would be. Didn't expect too much. Don't think it was amazing, but it was a bit better than I thought it would be. And one of my favorite parts that I'll write home about is that Jada Parker has a new finisher. It's not the Hypnotic anymore. And I've hated that finisher on anybody that used it because I just don't believe it. It just doesn't look too impactful, if not sold right. So she has a new finisher now. It's kind of a little power bomb type thing, type slam. And I like it. I think it looks good. It looks a whole lot better than Hypnotic. She used Hypnotic as a setup move, which I much prefer to it being the finish. And Blake Monroe appeared on the video screen and told Jada Parker that she will be seeing her soon. So Jada Parker's first feud back in NXT will be Blake Monroe. And Blake Monroe's first real feud outside of losing the North American Championship unexpectedly and not planned to Thea Hale will be Jada Parker. And that's a nice little feud to have going on NXT. So I'm very looking forward to that. Tavion Heights got into an argument with Lexis King backstage. They decided they'll face off tonight. And Lexis King defeated him. Zaruka have a TNA Knockouts Championship match coming up against the Elegance brand next week, which was a promo was cut for. Zarya did have a match with Thea Hale and got rolled up because of an Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley distraction. Izzy Dame is now the North American champion. Fatal Influence came out and left after Zarya dropped Thea. And there will be a triple threat next week. Thea Hale versus Lola Vice versus Izzy Dane for the North American Championship. Ethan Page and Ricky Saints have been working together these last few weeks to try and bring out an aggressive side in Miles Bourne, who had a qualifying match against Dion Lennox. Dion Lennox ended up defeating him because Miles didn't want to use or got caught up with or hesitated with a belt that Ethan Page gave him to try and help him out. So Miles Bourne lost, and he'll probably be seeing Ethan Page for that North American Championship very soon. And Dion Lennox will be seeing a whole lot of other dudes in the ladder match next week. Tony D was bailed out by Ava. He's been like a mercenary ever since he showed up at Deadline. At Deadline. And he said he's not the same guy. Ava warned him to not get involved in next week's ladder match, and he will cut a promo and explain why he did what he did. Kendall Gray is still featured, still eyeing the NXT Women's Championship. Keanu Carver got called up to Evolve, destroyed Mr. Chase, who got in a bit more offense than I thought he would, but nonetheless got destroyed. Keanu Carver will advance to that ladder match in his second match on NXT, getting a title shot. And he sent a message to the other competitors, who then came out to the ring, and there was a big brawl. They all cut promos: Shiloh Hill, Jackson Drake, Sean Legacy, Keanu Carver, Dion Lennox, and Ricky Saints. Everybody brawled. Ricky Saints went up for the title. Commentary said Joe Hendry. He popped out of nowhere, say his name, and he appears. Joe Hendry is back. Joe Hendry will be in the ladder match, took out Ricky Saints, but then Keanu Carver took him out, and Keanu Carver, the new wrecking ball on NXT, stood tall. So a nice close to the show. Big show coming for them next week. But very quickly, before we go off air, I have to give my Royal Rumble predictions. I'd be remiss not to, as a wrestling show host. So without that being said, and that's one of the things I like much about this semester compared to last year when I started the show. I started after the Royal Rumble. This time I can predict and start before the Royal Rumble. But newsflash, my predictions are not very exciting for the card. Drew McIntyre defending against Sami Zayn in his first defense, regardless of if it's in Saudi Arabia or not. I don't see Drew McIntyre dropping the title in his first defense after everybody's been clamoring for him to get a proper title reign for years. I think Drew McIntyre is going to beat Sami Zayn. Will it be clean? Will it be by underhanded tactics? Will it be by distraction? I don't know. But Drew McIntyre, one way or another, is going to come out on top. In the AJ Styles and Gunther match for AJ's career, I hate to say it, they gave some illusion that he has more feuds coming up. He wants to face back old rivals. Javon Evans wants a match. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Gunther is going to end his career on Saturday, defeat AJ Styles, and send him packing either forever or send him packing to a different company. That we'll have to see. But Gunther, I think, is going to claim another victim in AJ Styles. The Women's Royal Rumble should be a great match. My two predicted winners are either Liv Morgan or Bianca Belair if she returns. Bianca Belair would go on to face Jade Cargill. Liv Morgan go on to face Stephanie Bacquer. Liv Morgan's overdue for a title win. So I think that one of those two is going to win. If I had to pick, I'll pick Liv Morgan because she's the one that's currently there. And in the Men's Royal Rumble, I think Roman Reigns is going to return and win and challenge for a world title at WrestleMania. But he is the favorite. There are like LA Knight and those kinds of guys, but I do think some dark horses would be LA Knight. Don't know in what capacity. I do think Jacob Fatu is a dark horse to face for the World Championship at WrestleMania in some sort of like a triple threat match with Cody and Drew. And lastly, Obafemi, I could just entirely see coming in, wrecking the field, and walking out as the winner in his very first main roster appearance. That wraps up our first edition of Real Graps for the semester. I'm looking forward to a fun semester, counting down the road to WrestleMania. And I will see you guys next week.